Gravity Falls is one of those shows that gives you something new every time you watch it. The mystery, the humor, the surprisingly deep character moments, it's all there. But underneath the gnomes and secret codes, the show also explores human nature in a really clever way. So today, we're diving into a different lens, the 7 deadly sins. Pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth. These classic flaws have shown up in stories for centuries, and when you look closely, each one fits a Gravity Falls character in a pretty meaningful way. And today we're seeing which character represents what. Starting off with pride. Pride is an inflated sense of self-worth. It's the belief that you are inherently better, more important, or more deserving than others. And while self-confidence can be healthy, pride becomes a sin when it clouds judgment, creates division, and leads to the mistreatment of others. And this sin best describes Pacifica Northwest. Pacifica Northwest is introduced as the queen bee of Gravity Falls. She comes from the wealthiest family in town and was raised to believe that status and image matter more than kindness or honesty. In early episodes like Irrational Treasure, she mocks Mabel for her clothes, her voice, and her individuality. Pacifica's pride is deeply rooted in how she was raised, taught that her family's legacy made her superior. But also, as the show progresses, we start to see cracks in that image. In Northwest Mansion Mystery, she confronts the truth about her family's corrupt history and the ghosts that haunt it. Literally, this is one of the most important moments for her character. She begins to recognize that the pride she's held on to isn't her own. It was placed on her by others. And by choosing to do the right thing, she takes her first step towards independence. So although pride may define her past, it doesn't have to define her future. The next sin is greed. Greed is the intense desire for more money, more success, more control. While ambition can drive growth, greed twists it into obsession, and it can often stem from fear of failure, loss, or not being enough. And this sin best describes Stanley Pines. On the surface, he's a lovable con man running the Mystery Shack, but dig a little deeper and you'll see that his life has been shaped by his intense need to succeed, to prove something to the world. Stanley Pines is a character defined by struggle. From a young age, he was a black sheep, mismatched with his brilliant twin brother, misunderstood by his parents, and expelled from school. After being kicked out of his home and losing his future, Stan throws himself into one scheme after another, not just for money, but for identity. These experiences led him to chase success in any form he could find, even if it meant bending the truth. He built the Mystery Shack as a tourist trap, using fake attractions and rigged gimmicks to make money. His greed isn't malicious, it's compensating for years of rejection. In a tale of two stance, we see how deep that need runs. He spent decades trying to repair the portal and bring Ford back, not just out of guilt, but to prove his own worth. Stan's greed is complex. It's about money, yes, but more so about identity, redemption, and fear of being forgotten. The next sin is wrath. Wrath is more than anger. It's rage so deep and consuming that it seeks to destroy. Wrath often stems from hatred, pain, or a desire for dominance, and when left unchecked, it leads to violence, cruelty, and chaos. And this sin best describes Bill Cipher. Bill Cipher isn't just angry, he's wrath incarnate. Behind the jokes and eccentric personality lies a force driven by destruction. Bill hates order, structure, and reality itself. In Weirdmageddon, he doesn't just cause chaos, he revels in it. He turns people into stone, erases minds, and warps the laws of nature. His wrath is targeted at everything that represents stability and limitation. He manipulates others into doing his own bidding, and when they resist, he doesn't hesitate to torture or kill. Unlike the other characters, Bill never really shows growth or remorse in the show. His wrath is his purpose, and in the world of Gravity Falls, that makes him one of the most terrifying forces. The next sin is envy. Envy is the resentment we feel when someone else has something we want. Whether it's love, success, or admiration, it goes beyond jealousy, festering into bitterness and insecurity. Personally, I feel envy best describes Robbie Valentino. Robbie is just full of envy. From the beginning, he's threatened by Dipper's friendship with Wendy. He sees others achieving connection and growth while he remains stuck. In Boys Crazy, Robbie goes as far as using a cursed love song to control Wendy's feelings, a desperate attempt to hold on to something he knows he's losing. That kind of manipulation doesn't come from confidence, it comes from fear. Fear of being alone, being forgotten, or not measuring up. Robbie's envy is loud, messy, and rooted in his insecurities. Robbie wants to be respected, loved, and seen as important, but instead of working on himself, he lashes out, blaming others for what he lacks. His envy isolates him, and while he's not a villain, his inability to process these feelings in a healthy way creates tension and pain for those around him. The next sin is lust. Lust isn't just physical or romantic, it's the overwhelming desire for emotional or sensory satisfaction. It can lead to obsession, dependency, and escapism. and this sin best describes Mabel Pines. Mabel often chases intense emotional highs. Throughout the series, she jumps into crushes quickly, idolizes relationships, and often looks for emotional highs. Mabel is driven by her desire for connection. In episodes like Boys Crazy and The Love God, she gets caught up in the idea of love so fast she overlooks reality. She seeks love without really understanding it. But her most revealing moment comes in Weirdmageddon Part 1, when she chooses to stay in a dream bubble created by Bill. It's a perfect world where nothing ever changes, where everything stays sweet and happy. That choice shows how much she wants to avoid pain, conflict, or even growing up. Her version of lust is emotional, the craving for perfect, unshakable joy. And although it can make her seem a bit selfish, she's still human. And by facing the truth, she learns that real connection means accepting imperfection. The next sin is gluttony. Gluttony is the overconsumption of anything that brings comfort. Whether it's food, entertainment, or attention, it's not just indulgence, but the use of those pleasures to fill emotional voids. And Sus Ramirez perfectly describes that. Sus is Gravity Falls' lovable handyman, and at first glance, his gluttony is harmless. He loves food, video games, and simple joys. But beneath that, there's a loneliness he tries hard to ignore. In Sus and the Real Girl, he becomes attached to a dating simulator, not because he prefers it, but because it feels safer than dealing with real vulnerability. Sus's gluttony is about avoiding hurt. He throws himself into distractions because the real world hasn't always been kind to him. His father abandoned him, and he often feels like an outsider. The comfort he seeks isn't bad, but when it prevents him from growing, it becomes a trap. Thankfully though, Sus is willing to realize his mistakes and willing to learn from them. And the last and final sin is sloth. Sloth isn't just laziness, it's apathy. A refusal to engage with challenges, emotions, or responsibilities. It often shows up as emotional detachment, disinterest, or avoidance. And personally, I think Wendy does fit the description. Wendy is known for being chill and laid back, but sometimes that attitude becomes avoidance. She skips work, ignores her responsibilities, and often deflects serious conversations. Her sloth shows up in the way she avoids change. She doesn't want things to get complicated, so she keeps things surface level. That's not to say Wendy is shallow. She's brave, smart, and grounded, but her emotional sloth holds her back from deeper relationships and self-reflection. And we see this mostly scattered through many different episodes. But Wendy still does make an effort when it counts. She might not always be there for everyone, but in certain times and situations, she doesn't shy away from helping someone, especially someone close to her. Well guys, it looks like that'll be it for today. I'll put up some visuals on screen now, so you can see all the sins and every character I paired with each one. I try to use the most accurate and popular character for each word, as I didn't want to have a random background character or just a main character that was forced onto a word. Please comment down below your thoughts and opinions, and make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Later. Also, don't forget to check out my other videos as well.